Hello, metalheads, and welcome back to Crank This. I'm Kyla, and as you can see, I am back from the beach and back in the studio for this week's rip-roaring session. Today, we're stepping into something much colder, much slower, and much more uncomfortable than the usual blast of riffs and fire. This is Dead Inside by NecroLament. And before we go any further, this isn't a track you throw on because you want a quick hook, a catchy chorus, or something that grabs you by the collar in the first 10 seconds. This is definitely not that kind of song. Dead Inside is a minimalist descent into emotional numbness, inner torment, and psychological collapse. That is the description attached to the track, and honestly, it's a very accurate one. This piece feels less like a song trying to entertain you, and more like a room you have been locked inside. Let's take a listen.
Silence, dead inside. Dead inside. Dead
The opening is immediately bleak. There's no grand entrance, no theatrical explosion, no look at me moment. It starts with atmosphere and restraint. The sound feels cold, distant, and low to the ground, almost like machinery breathing in the dark. That's one of the strongest things about this track. It understands emptiness. It doesn't try to fill every space. It lets the spaces become part of the weight. And that matters because a track like this lives or dies on patience. The repetition is the point. The constant return to the same emotional pressure creates that feeling of being trapped inside your own head. It's not moving forward in a heroic way. It's circling. It's pacing the same floorboards again and again. Awake, breathing, functioning, but hollow. There's a very strong, dark ambient spine running through this, but it also leans into depressive doom and industrial horror. The low end does a lot of the emotional work. It's not flashy, it's not trying to impress you with complexity. It just sits there, heavy and unkind, like a pressure in the chest. What I like is that the track does build, but it doesn't build in a traditional way. It doesn't suddenly become triumphant. It doesn't offer release. Instead, the intensity creeps upward. The sound becomes more present, more oppressive, more difficult to escape from. Around the middle, you can feel the atmosphere tightening. It's subtle, but it's there. The piece becomes louder, denser, more suffocating. That is a very hard thing to do well, because minimalist music can easily become boring if there's no emotional control behind it. Here, the repetition feels intentional. It feels like the numbness is being forced into your ears. There's also a strong sense of psychological collapse in the production. The track doesn't sound clean in a polished, glossy way. It sounds wounded. It has that bleak, industrial texture where the noise becomes part of the emotion. There are moments where the atmosphere feels almost mechanical, but not in a cyberpunk, futuristic way. More like old pipes, concrete walls, bad memories, and fluorescent lights that never stop buzzing. The final stretch is probably the strongest part for me. The track reaches its heaviest emotional pressure near the end. But again, it doesn't give you a heroic climax. It gives you collapse. Then the sound seems to drain down into something lower and emptier. That ending is important because it doesn't feel like escape. It feels like the last bit of energy leaving the body. And that fits the title perfectly. Dead Inside is not about sadness in a dramatic, cinematic sense. It's about the point after sadness, the point where the screaming has stopped, but the damage is still there. That's a very different emotional space, and NecroLament captures it well. For me, the biggest strength of this track is commitment. It commits to being bleak. It commits to being repetitive. It commits to discomfort. It doesn't panic and throw in a huge chorus just because the listener might need one. It trusts the atmosphere. That said, this is definitely a niche piece. If someone is looking for melody, structure, big vocals, or a traditional metal payoff, this won't meet them halfway. It's not designed to. This is for listeners who like music as emotional environment, dark ambient fans, depressive doom listeners, industrial horror people. This sits right in that cold corner of the room. If I were offering one production thought, it would be this. Because the track is built so heavily around repetition and atmosphere, even tiny changes become powerful. A distant texture, a slight shift in the distortion, a low pulse becoming more unstable, something almost subliminal creeping in and out. Those details can make the descent even more unsettling. The foundation is already there. Leaning into those small movements could make the psychological collapse feel even sharper. But as it stands, Dead Inside does what it says it is going to do. It's cold, it's oppressive, it's hollow, and it does not comfort you. This is not a track for the party. This is the track playing in the room after everyone has left, when the lights are still on, and you realise you have been staring at the wall for too long. So, NecroLament. Strong atmosphere, strong emotional identity, and a very clear understanding of what kind of darkness this track is trying to inhabit. If you like dark ambient, depressive doom, industrial horror, and music that feels like emotional paralysis and psychological trauma, go and check out Dead Inside by NecroLament. This one should be on your playlist, but be warned, it's not for the faint of heart, because sometimes the heaviest songs aren't the ones that hit hardest. Sometimes they're the ones that leave you alone with yourself. Go check out the artist and give them some love. The link to the channel is in the description below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe to The Digital Forge, as this helps us bring more creators to your attention. I'm Kyla, this has been Crank This, and I will see you on the next one. Now go ahead and crank this.